That's how it works there. The cycle doesn't follow directly in the commercial arena. By the way, if you go to strip centers, they have a different cycle than office buildings. Office buildings have a different cycle than warehouse property. So the point is, if you're going to get into a particular arena, you ought to take the time to figure out where they are in the cycle. How do you do that? Ask people that know. Who would be the people that know? If I was going to, I don't know much about warehouses. It's just not something that I've done much of. If I was going to go into the warehouse business, what I would do is I would find a commercial broker who specializes in warehouses, and I would take him to lunch. And I would pick his brain. And I would say, where are we in the real estate cycle? Do we have a lot of vacancy? Is there property that's available? Is it pretty tight right now? And I would start to pick his brain and figure out where we are in the cycle. Why? Because if you're going to get into that arena, it would be a really good idea to know. Now, if I was meeting with this gentleman having lunch, and he was saying, well, you know, it was really tight a couple of years ago, but it's starting to loosen up. What does that tell you? What it tells you is it was kind of tight a couple of years ago, but it's starting to loosen up. You better be careful about pricing, because is there always a delay in price relative to value? Now, we're going to talk about this in just a minute when we get into the durability of your rent. Because when you start getting into a rental situation, it's just like a building like this. If we have a building like this and there's a floor where people are paying $19 a foot because they signed the lease 6 years ago, and the lease renews next year, should we budget on $19 a foot again from that renewal? Why? Because it's not what the market dictates at this moment in time. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? So if you're working in a cycle here, it's not just the quantity of rent that you have, it's the durability. We'll spend a few minutes on that in just a couple of minutes. But the real estate cycle is something that you have to become aware of, because this will have impact on everything you do as an investor in real estate. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So keep an eye on what's going on with the cycle in the area that you want to invest in.